Hello, this is a quick tutorial to show you how to use the DJI Spotlight mode and how useful it is when filming, so let's get into it. For this tutorial I used the Mini 4 Pro, the DJI Neo and the RC2 controller. There are of course other drones in the DJI range which also have Spotlight mode, namely the Air series, the Mavic 3 series, the Mini 3 Pro and of course the latest DJI Flip. So what is Spotlight mode? Well, simply put, it locks the camera onto a subject and allows you to focus on controlling the drone's movements, while the camera automatically keeps the subject focused and in the frame. It's perfect for following a person, a vehicle, or any moving object, and its most effective use though, in my opinion, is locking onto a point of interest to allow you to capture it more smoothly. It's one of DJI's most impressive intelligent flight modes, and whether you're shooting dynamic action scenes or smooth cinematic footage, Spotlight mode is an absolute game changer. So how do you access and activate Spotlight mode? Well, there's a couple of ways to do it. The first is to tap on the intelligent flight mode icon on the left of the screen. That then opens this little menu at the bottom where you can select Active Track, Spotlight or POI. Once you select Spotlight in this mode, the drone will start placing a green box around subjects it thinks you might want to track or focus on. If it highlights a subject you want, then just simply select that green box. Alternatively, you can draw a green box around the subject of your choice if it's not already highlighted by the drone. The other way to activate Spotlight mode is to just simply draw a box on the screen around the subject you want to focus on and track. You'll see here that the box initially is quite big, and then after a few seconds and once the drone gets a GPS lock on the subject, the box gets smaller and the drone is properly locked on and ready. Now you can freely control the drone's position, altitude and speed, and the camera will stay focused on your subject. Notice how smooth the footage is even as I move the drone around. Spotlight mode automatically adjusts the gimbal to ensure the subject is always centered. It's also worth noting that the subject you select does not have to be in the middle of the screen. You can select it anywhere and the drone will track it at that position on the screen. You'll notice here that there's a strong wind warning pops up and then the drone gets affected by a gust of wind. That knocks the focal point off ever so slightly. It does it a couple of times here. However, as you can see, the drone quite effectively manages to regain the position of the subject that you're wanting to focus on quite well. Not exactly as you've positioned it, but it does its best. So that was using Spotlight mode on an actual subject, but if you don't have a subject and you've only got landscape or scenery, how well does the drone lock on and track that? Well, let's have a look. All I've got here is a clump of bushes to focus on, so I select them and you'll see that the drone quite effectively manages to lock onto them quite quickly. This then allows me to manoeuvre the drone to be a bit more creative. I can adjust the height with the left stick. You cannot rotate the drone. You can use the right stick to move forward and back and yaw left and right, and you cannot control the gimbal. The gimbal and the rotation is automatically adjusted by the drone. Everything else you've got full control of, but it does allow you to be creative. You can see here, just by moving further away from the subject I've selected, it means that the gimbal will tilt up and it reveals some more of the background. As you move the drone closer, the gimbal will automatically drop down to keep the subject in screen where you've selected it, and that means that you'll get less of the background. So the previous two examples were using the DJI Mini 4 Pro. For tracking a person though, I used the DJI Neo in this one, so let's see how well that does. This is actually a great example of the capability of this mode and the drone to show how well, when it's affected by the wind, that it's able to recapture the subject. I appreciate when using the Neo in this type of scenario, you would most likely use the follow me mode. However, if you were following another person, for example, and you were the drone pilot, this mode does allow you to be a bit more creative with angles for the shot, etc. So what I do here is I lower the drone to the desired altitude or height. I then switch to cine mode so it's nice and slow, and then effectively all I do after that is hold the right stick forward. And nothing more than that, it is that simple. Obviously if you're the drone pilot and you're filming another person, you can be a lot more creative. However, whilst I'm pushing forward here, you'll see that I do go left to right a little bit, and you will notice that the drone follows me while all I'm doing again is just pressing straight forward. I know follow me mode does this, but this is just to give you an example of how well this mode actually works. And just a final brief example of how the drone can manoeuvre around a subject or a person. It's also worth noting that when you're in this mode, you can also activate cruise control. So this is really handy and a great function to use if you want to perform a specific manoeuvre or get a specific shot. Start the drone moving in the direction or carrying out the manoeuvre you want, hit cruise control, the drone takes over, and you'll get brilliant smooth footage. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment, it really does help, and hopefully I will post another tutorial soon.